Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Puck Watching STL for our recap of the last two games here of the St. Louis Blues' round one series against the Winnipeg Jets for these last couple days here, Saturday, and now after tonight concluding about 10, 15 minutes ago. Happy to have you back for a little bit of a late night episode for those of you joining in live this evening. I know we didn't really give much notice to this, but we wanted to at least get it out there for everybody to be able to kind of just convey their thoughts and us convey ours as we have two frustrating losses in Winnipeg here, Nick. I guess since it's very fresh in our memory, let's just start talking about this one here as the Blues lose 3-1 to the Jets here. Or is it 2-1? I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
Because they missed the empty netter.
Yeah.
Really rough. Hard to really put into words in terms of the performance because I think we can start to evaluate it. But Nick, really not enough in that second and third period there.
Yeah, they didn't bring it enough, especially when they went down in the third. I really did not think they played a bad game tonight. I thought they played better than game one. The only reason I say that is because game one in the third period was so bad that it got to the point where they almost played a bad game just because of how bad that period was.
Yeah,
I thought they played a more complete game tonight. They just could not generate enough in that third period once they went down. And it was kind of the same story as I guess as it was in game one, but not as egregious, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think a lot of people are very pessimistic right now. I think the Blues have matched up pretty well against the Jets in the first two games. I really am not. I don't believe that the Blues are dead. I really don't. I think they could easily win on Thursday, and then all of a sudden, we have another series again. Unfortunately, it's just not. It's not looking great at the moment. But they have a good amount of rest ahead of them, and they'll have the home crowd behind them. And Winnipeg has a great fan base, and there's of course a dimension of that contributes to the Blues getting a bit rattled or just not being in sync because of the crowd. I don't think that's obviously not going to be a factor on Thursday. So I think they have a very good shot on Thursday, as long as they keep with it and they play the game that they have been. As long as they don't have the periods that they do, especially in game one in the third period, I think they're going to be right there. But it was a bummer. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I think since it's right in top of my mind here. I agree with you. I thought they played a pretty good game today, especially I think better third than what they did on Saturday. But still, I think that their third was probably their most unproductive offensively that there was, and their first being their best. So that wasn't enough. And obviously the second goal for Kyle Connor probably can't let that happen in the first couple minutes of a period. Just a terrible way to start. But you just couldn't find a way to respond to that. And that was the more frustrating thing. Just couldn't really generate a lot offensively. And particularly what struck me though, especially in the last 2.5 minutes, was when they pulled Binnington. And I was watching it with a bunch of BC guys and mainly Bruins fans, now Blues fans for the playoffs. But all of them kept saying just exactly how I was feeling. Why are you dumping the puck in every single time as you're trying to gain entry into the zone? Because you're on the man advantage for a reason. So you're supposed to be able to get some sort of entry into the zone. So, and you weren't able to do it every single time, and you have to win a puck battle on the boards. And the Jets are a really good defensive hockey team, and it's going to be hard to win those battles every single time. So I thought the play, especially in the later portions and even throughout the rest of the game, I thought they struggled to kind of gain entry at points. You got to figure out a way to enter cleanly into the zone, because that that's not sustainable. Just keep that dump and chase hockey every single time.
I think that also goes back to the power plays. The first one looked good. They scored. Snuggie had that snipe. That was great. The power play came back to earth. And I mean, not to bring more negativity into what's already going on, but let's all be honest here. Like, they have not been able to enter the zone very well when they're a man up. They just can't.
Yeah.
They can't. And it was no different than when they pulled Bennington in the final 2 minutes. They had to do it, but they do not get into the offensive zone very well, even when they have an extra attacker. So that is a problem that they've faced for a while. This is not new. This is not new whatsoever. And I knew that this was probably going to happen when they did pull Bennington. They were going to have to dump the puck and they were going to have to get it back. I just figured that was the way that was going to be. And unfortunately, I guess they had a couple, different opportunities. Letty, when he shot that puck, I think everyone at OB Clark's thought it went in.
Oh, I thought it went in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not that they didn't have anything. They just didn't have enough. There wasn't consistent shots on goal. They didn't possess. It was mostly one and done. And that's the thing you just can't really afford. They didn't give up an empty net goal. I don't think that matters. But, it's just the way the Blues are kind of made. They don't have that edge to them right now where they can enter the zone cleanly when they have an extra attacker. No matter if they're on the power play, or no matter if they pulled Bennington and have another attacker at 6-on-5. So that's what I've noticed, and it's just not very new. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's so interesting too. Whenever they enter the zone cleanly, which happens, not a lot, especially today, but when they enter and it's clean and they establish possession, they're able to generate some dangerous scoring chances. And that power play, for example, it was very dangerous right before the period ended. And luckily, Snuggerud with an absolute sniper into the top left corner. And by the way, the last 2 games particularly have some outstanding shots. I mean, upper corners, picking them every single time. And to be honest with you, like, if we want to all to talk about Connor Hellebuck not being a playoff goalie, well, he has had no chance on any of these goals. He does play pretty deep in his net, to be fair, so maybe he doesn't give himself as good of a chance, but he's a tall guy at 6'4". So I'm encouraged by the way that they've been shooting the puck, and that's not been the issue. But again, like, how are you going to be able to consistently enter the zone and create scoring chances like that, man up, or even on 5-on-5? They somehow do a better job 5-on-5 doing it, playing a little bit more of a grinding physical play type of hockey.
Yeah. No, I agree. And we're getting some comments on Instagram and couldn't help but say it out loud. Like, Tyler Tucker played a pretty bad game today.
Yes, he did.
I thought Letty was a huge reason that first goal happened. Obviously, Snuggerud was the victim in that. It's hard to blame people when they're trying to get to the net and trying to save a puck from going into the net. And unfortunately, he fell victim to potentially kicking that or just bodying it back into the Blues' own goal. But Tyler did not play well tonight. He didn't. I know everyone was, at least on Twitter, was excited that they were going 11-7, and they're just going to double shift Rob, Kyrou, Snuggerud, Buchnevich, whoever it was. But he did not play well tonight. And I don't know what Montgomery's going to do for game 3, but I don't think Tucker earned being out there again on Thursday. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and interesting enough, like, you're definitely right. I noticed the same thing with the Tucker, his play, but he was plus minus 0. He wasn't on the ice for any of the goals, but he did not look very confident out there. And I was a bit surprised by it too, though, the Montgomery move, because I thought the way we played offensively in the other game, having that complete line with Joseph on the third, I didn't think that was worth disrupting, in my wholehearted opinion. And I obviously am not a hockey coach of no means, but there's something to be said about having a consistent team every single time, especially in the playoffs when that chemistry is very much needed. And putting Joseph out, an experienced guy, it's an interesting move. I'm not gonna lie. I support it, knowing that you'd be able to double shift the Thomas Kyrou thing? Sure, but the cohesiveness I think was a little bit lacking. And not to say that I thought Bolduc on the third line had a good game with playing a little bit with Sundqvist and with some other partners. Neighbors was in there a few times, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the move.
I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I mean, I'm looking at the time on ice. Robert Thomas played 23 minutes. That's the most I've seen that he's played. Buchnevich played 22, 47.
Mm-hmm.
I am all for getting our best players the most looks possible. But the problem that comes with that is that if you're going to put Tyler Tucker in the crossfire and he's just not ready for it, then perhaps it's not worth it. Tucker, it's honestly sad now that we're kind of criticizing. He only played 9 minutes and 45 seconds on the ice.
Ugh.
And the fact that we noticed him that much is not good. And I also want to say I have a defeat beer in front of me for everyone. So I'm basking in the sorrows that everyone else is right now. But
sure,
we're not dead.
No, we're not. But Nick Leddy actually played less than Tyler Tucker, interestingly enough. He played 9:34. Tucker played 9:45. So
I think that's well-deserved.
Yeah, I think those are probably the two. It's not a good word to say, but probably the worst defenseman on this team. I think we can probably say that. But again, worse is not a good word for it. But they just don't. I mean, I thought the rest of the defense, I think, played pretty well. I mean, they're finding ways to shut the Jets down, which is a very good sight. That first goal. No, I'm sorry. The second goal was the result of just poor puck management behind the net, and ultimately gets to the middle and can't leave Kyle Connor open in the slot like that for a one-timer. Just can't do it. So that was tough. But even the first goal, just a bad change. Really, that's just kind of a whole team thing rather than a defensive issue.
Yeah, Leddy's fallen down a couple of times when things are getting tough. He just can't really do that. And then those fluke things happen when everyone's rushing to the net, and then you have Snugger who ended up kicking it into the back of the net. So very unfortunate. The Jets have actually been on the benefiting end of a few of those this series already. It's just unfortunate. I don't think the defense is the reason, but I have noticed for sure in the last two games when the boys have been on the ice for a little bit too long and the puck goes behind our own net, the Jets seem to win almost every 50-50 battle. And then all of a sudden we're doubling up on Scheifele or whoever is behind the net. And then there's someone open in the slot. Yeah. And it happened again. Like, having someone wide open right in front of Bennington is obviously not ideal. And also Bennington lost his stick there. Yeah. Right when that goal happened. I don't know if that contributed to it. It's not like Kyle Connor placed it in any specific place that Bennington maybe couldn't have saved. I'm not going to blame that on him, but he made some big saves tonight. He also had a couple plays where I'm like, I don't know what that was.
It should have been a 3-1 game in the third period after the
he got very lucky. That was a horrible play by him. I understand him wanting to be aggressive, and he was aggressive the whole night, trying to get the puck out, making sure the Blues are not in harm's way. I want him to play like that way more than I want him to be passive, because the Blues need him to exit the zone. They need him. Mm-hmm. Unlike probably any other team, Bennington and Hofer have always done a very good job of stick handling and making sure that we can exit. And he did a good job of that tonight, but there are a couple of them where you're like, man, that one he should have paid for, and he ended up not. But it was a bummer. Hellebuck did play really well too. He made some really, really big saves, and I can't discredit that. And he has not so far lived up to that expectation that we all kind of hope for and choking.
No, that Thomas shot in the third period where it almost went over his back. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And that and obviously a mistake at first, but what a recovery from him to be able to kind of like shake it out and like somehow find it at his back there to eliminate probably a tie game for the Blues that could have totally changed the period there. So yeah, I for Hellebuck purposes, yeah, he's definitely living up to the regular season for sure. Not, I would say unsurprisingly, I think it's not that he's like bad in the playoffs sometimes. It's just that he just doesn't make those clutch saves. But really, to be honest with you, Nick, there really hasn't been those moments where he's really needed to be that clutch in these moments. 'Cause these have been really tight games, and it's not the Blues' fault that I'm saying this, because to me, both of these games, Saturday and today, tight checking affairs. Even though like 5-3 seems like a not a really tight checking, pretty open game, probably a little bit more scoring chances to go around for everybody. But honestly, it was very back and forth both games. I don't know. I feel like, can we agree on that?
Exception of the third period.
In the third period, right? I agree. Yeah, it's there, but there has been a really good balance, and especially with the physicality that has also existed within the two games too. You know, Luke Shen and the Braden Shen rivalry that was at full force today. Jordan Kyrou got absolutely shellacked today by, I think, Adam Lowry into the boards, or not even into the boards, or just like a right next to the boards, just completely ran over. But it's not like that the Blues weren't any more physical or any less physical, because they, I think, had 26 hits. Jets had 33 or something like that. Pretty even totals there, and exactly what you really would expect from the Blues. But one thing, though, I think going back a little bit to the lines with the Joseph thing, because I think it's interesting with the physicality aspect. That WTF line wasn't really always playing together tonight. There was a couple shifts in that. I think Walker took some minutes on the third line today. I think Torps took a few, Foxa as well, so that they didn't get that time that they normally get with each other to produce on the forecheck, get to their physical game. So to me, that maybe had an effect too. And I think prediction wise, they're probably going to go back to having Joseph in game 3 after the Tucker performance, plus just knowing the offensively how they performed.
I think Toropchenko needs to play a good amount on Thursday. I just looked at his time on ice. I think he had the least amount of anyone on the team.
Oh,
that I don't think that can be the case for the Blues, especially this time around. Yeah, he had the second least amount of time on ice. He needs to play a lot more. The guy is an energizer ball, and he just really when he is able, like when the Blues, when we were talking about them dumping the puck in, he is the guy that can chase it down. He's the guy that can hit someone into the boards, get the puck, use his body, and bring it back up to the top or whatever he needs to do. He needs to be a little bit more involved. And if the Blues want a shot, like if they're going to play that type of game, we're going to try to bring it in and dump it like they are, he needs to be that guy. Like it's probably not going to be like Kyrou, just to hit on what you were saying. He got absolutely clobbered that first hit. He got clobbered again, like not that much later.
yeah.
So he needs to be very aware of who is going for him and who is not. And I don't want him to get scared. You know, we know Jordan Kyrou pretty well. He's been on the Blues for a long time. If he ends up getting a little bit scared out there and is playing passive and tentative, that's a bad Jordan Kyrou. No one wants that Jordan Kyrou on the Blues. Mm-hmm. And that's what Blues fans have complained about. If he can still maintain his confidence and make sure that he's still carrying the puck in without any qualms about anyone's going to hit him, and he's got his wherewithal, then that's great. But this game was not his best showing as far as concerned on his protection, at least. And he just needs to be more aware of that. But Toropchenko needs to play more. That's what it boils down to. And the WTF line, I get why they're not playing as much, but when it comes to games like these where you need a huge forecheck and they're dumping the puck in, they got to be like, those are the guys. Those are the guys that need to forecheck. You may not get a bunch of offense from them, but change the lines up. We got to do something, especially when it comes down to the third period, and we're not able to create anything, just like we did tonight, and what happened in the third period last game.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true, man. Yeah, I'm with you. I think definitely not a good game for Jordan Kyrou at all. Just not much really generated offensively from him either. And I thought when it comes to being able to generate chances, it was probably the MVPs today were Thomas and Snuggerud. And probably, I mean, I thought Snuggerud had a great game on Saturday too. And so he looks great, and he belongs in that first on that first line. I think right now, the question is whether or not Neighbors really belongs in that second line with Shen, and that to me is I think the bigger question here. And then obviously this is when we really miss Holloway, because this is why the lines are being juggled so much right now. Because if it weren't for Holloway out, then probably wouldn't be playing 7D tonight. But again, it's all hypotheticals, and you got to figure it out. All teams in the playoffs have to, because you're not going to be healthy the whole time. But I also want to see a little bit more leadership, not leadership, but I think Braden Shen has had a very quiet 2 games. He's been hitting, he's been very physical, but to me, he was active a little bit. I feel like when he's active, you're able to. This team, I think you're able to see that they're better with him contributing pretty consistently, and that second line just really wasn't doing much, I think, in the game.
He's a second line center. Yeah. He's got to create more. I love when Braden Shen is hitting people. Everyone does. We have to create that momentum and set the tone. And he's great for that. He's the captain. He should be stepping up when those times call upon. But unfortunately, with Shen, and I've noticed this the past couple of weeks, especially with Holloway being out, and I guess it's just how good Holloway has been for that second line. But he needs to be a lot better, especially on the offensive side. You just kind of notice he's fumbling pucks. He's not distributing as well as he should. He didn't have any grade A opportunities at all tonight, nor did he, last game. And I guess hey, if I'm not going to generate anything offensively, I may as well hit some people. But on your second line, I don't think that's the time and place that you should just be running around hitting people. It doesn't mean that you should not hit anyone, he needs to, but you also have to create something. And when you have a line with Neighbors and Shen and Kyrou, you're going to have to do something else. You can't just be the guy that's going to be an enforcer on your second line, who is your center. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to have to step up on Thursday. I still don't think the Blues are very far away from making this a 2-1 series whatsoever, even if Shen continues to play like he is.
Yeah.
But it just depends. Thursday is the most important game in Blues hockey this season. And it's not particularly close. So you get on 3-0, you can see the lights dimming very, very quickly. If you're down 2-1, it's a brand new series as far as I'm concerned, especially when you have another game at home.
I'm with you. Before we start to wrap up here, just wanted to address some of the Instagram comments here, and I think some wide consensus on the play of Tyler Tucker today, but also some hate on Parayko as well is happening in the comment section, and I can see it for sure. I don't think he's definitely has all of his legs under him right now. I still think he's still kind of recovering. I will say he made a couple of great plays at the end there with a pinch as the empty netter, or as the Blues had the empty net on the man advantage. But I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think there was any huge standout defenseman at all today. Just a lot of I don't know. It wasn't like a really solid defensive game from the Blues, but it's a 2-1 game though, so really hard to complain. So I don't really know what else to say there. But I honestly, who I thought had a great game though was Broberg. I thought he looked sound defensively pretty much the whole game. Even Cam Fowler had a little bit of miscues out there with Falk too. That was a mess to see sometimes.
I didn't think the defense looked very in sync the whole game. Yeah. But ultimately, I think most people judge the defense by the way that the goals pan out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Colton Parayko was on the ice for both of those.
Yeah, mine is too.
So, I'm not going to put that first one on him. I'm sure. I mean, there's no way for me to justify that one, given Letty fell down and then Snuggerud trying to fend it off and then ultimately kicking it in. But he didn't play very well. I didn't think he was made a demonstrable difference on the ice, even when he pushed up forward. So they're going to need him. They're going to need a better game from everyone. I don't know what they're going to do about Tucker. Letty obviously had his faults throughout that game. Falk had some miscues as well, as you were saying.
Yeah.
So I think the defense is going to have to step up, and one goal is not going to cut it from the offensive side either. So there's plenty of blame to go around. I think the only person that I can't really blame for anything right now, because that miscue that he had didn't end up playing out against him, is Bennington.
Yeah.
So he made some big saves. He did play well. That goal could have cost him the whole entire game and the perception that everyone had of him that game. So
it didn't happen.
No. So yeah. I did think he kept us in the game. But similarly, Hellebuck also kept the Jets in the game too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think finally also need something from Buchnevich, man. Like it just, I feel like he's silent right now, and maybe one of like the biggest one in the top 6 right now that has been relatively radio silent. So I would love to see, and he's been hitting a little bit too. He's been contributing on that end, but I need to see something from that guy too, because he really hasn't. They were talking about it too on the broadcast. I forget the exact stat, but not a very successful playoff player. And I think now is a great time for him to start to activate something, especially with a little bit of a depleted top 6. And also he was hot going into the playoffs here. He had like 5 goals in the last, I think, 6 games. So got to figure something out there as well for Buchnevich. And I will say too, I think we're going to start to wrap up here, that special teams, as we kind of said in the preview to the whole playoffs on Sunday or on Saturday, this is kind of going to make a difference. And we've seen it a little bit. Today, Blues went 1 for 4 on the power play, but in the last 2 games, though, they're 3 for 7. And definitely a surprising thing, but they definitely went down back to earth, like what you said earlier, as that game progressed, because not only were they missed power play chances, they were horrendous. Like 6 minutes of just wasted time after that. So their first one looked great, but then ultimately, man, it just really, really got bad.
Yeah, I mean, even when they entered the zone, it didn't really seem to matter all that much. You would like for people to take chances when they have some open ice in front of them, either to skate into the middle or just to hit a one-timer. Unfortunately, the Blues just really haven't had that guy. I mean, Holloway was like a good example of someone that would take that risk and hit a one-timer. Shen doesn't seem to want any part of a one-timer on a power play. Hasn't really seemed like Rob and Cairo want anything to do with a one-timer either. Like, that's what power plays are for. Like, when you reverse the puck and you shift it to the right or left, whichever side everyone's on, you're hoping for a one-timer to put it in a spot where the goalie is coming from, and they're off their line a little bit. And it doesn't really seem that Blues have a lot of that at all in the last 3 power plays. And the last 3 were just pathetic. They didn't have anything. Their penalty kill was great. Let's all be honest there. I thought they played very, very well in the penalty kill, and they stopped the best team in the NHL. 3 times tonight?
Yeah,
Twice?
3 times. I think it was 3, but I want to double check that. But no, it was 2 times.
2. They did a good job, and the Jets have only made him pay.
Yeah,
once
in the first game? Yeah.
So I didn't expect the Blues to keep up their power play success throughout the entire game, but I did expect a little bit better of a showing. So, Thursday, and we're going to point to Thursday. There's really nothing else to say until we play at Enterprise on Thursday night, and I'm hoping to be there, and I'm hoping that they bring it, because they played well enough to probably win either of these games if you exclude the third period in game 1.
Yep, I'm with you.
If they can do it and play like they have been with the home crowd on their side, I think everything should be fine on Thursday. But the Jets are a really, really good team. And I don't really think enough people outside of the Blues and Winnipeg gave them enough credit. They're very good. They're very, very good. And I'm hoping that the Blues don't panic and they can settle in and play the hockey that they have been the last 2 games, because it hasn't been bad. It has not been bad whatsoever. They played better than what I expected them to. They just can't afford to have those lapses that they did in game 1. And they need to generate more shots when it matters. If they go down, they need to make sure that they're getting shots on goal, and they just haven't been able to do that, essentially.
Yeah. And I think you said it best there. And then one final thing, 23 giveaways for the Blues tonight, 14 for Winnipeg. Less turnovers also needs to happen for them to have a little bit more success in St. Louis on Thursday. Nick, hopefully get some updates from you on Thursday, from you at the game. And I'm sure that it'll be a really fun environment in Enterprise Center to have playoff hockey back for the first time since 2022. And God, just excited just to even see it on TV, man. Enterprise Center in the playoffs. I know, Winnipeg, it's really cool. Yeah, cool. White out. It's fun. But blue collar town, as I like to say, Jim Montgomery in our little hype video. But yeah, I think this wraps it up. Thanks for tuning in. Got a nice little live audience here joining us. Really appreciate it. And, obviously a little bit more somber today, but we really hope that we can continue and don't continue this, but get back in the winning circle come Thursday. Got 2 days off, so maybe an extra day of rest can help the Blues as they travel back to St. Louis, back home maybe, and hopefully for some winning. But appreciate you joining. Have a good rest of the night, good rest of the 2 days, and cheer on the Blues in St. Louis, hopefully, as they begin their game 3, looking to get right back into the series. See you guys.
See you guys.